Hello everybody, hope you're doing marvellously well. I'm here with Tim O'Sullivan. How are you?
Good, how are you?
This is really exciting for us because Eric Valentine is one of my favourite engineers, producers and mixers. I think he's arguably made some of the best sounding records of the last 20 plus years. I know our episode we did with him is hugely successful with our community. So many people ask me questions and we're always trying to tap into his brain to find out what he uses. And I feel like this is going to be an amazing opportunity because this is his own personal studio, Barefoot Recording. And you've opened this up now so that people can come in here and record here with two amazing staff engineers, which is...
myself, Tim O'Sullivan,
and
Bradley Cook.
Oh, it's Joe, and Joe just comes in here and
works. Joe's an outside producer who has Studio B locked out.
I see. Amazing.
Yeah.
This is going to be very exciting.
Yeah.
Let's get started.
All right. We've been slowly building up the collection of records that were done here, putting everything on the wall.
Oh, really? This was done here?
Yeah.
This, we were talking about earlier, is quite exciting. I know a lot of this was done in Sausalito. So what, do they do overdubs here and mix maybe?
Yeah. A lot of, I mean, Stevie was basically camped out here for quite a few years.
Right.
So a lot of stuff was done here. You know, he bounced around and went to different studios, but a lot of parts of those records were done here. And I believe the final mixes.
Beautiful. Love, I mean, Songs of the Key of Life is such an important album for me as a kid. But obviously Talking Book is a masterpiece. And you know, and then of course the Circle Jerks.
I kind of insisted that one went up there.
That was great. Oh, really? They did a lot of it here?
A lot of that was tracked here, and then it was mixed in Studio B.
Oh, I love this record.
And
this is one of the best sounding albums of all time.
And we have a plaque that was presented or a framed photo. You know, congratulations on the for best engineered record.
Oh, he won. Won. Now, so wait, let's retrack for a second. So, who was the original owner of this place?
Andrew Berliner.
Andrew Berliner.
Yeah.
And he was the engineer on all of these albums.
On a lot of them.
The ones that aren't obviously Eric's.
he was primarily working on the Stevie Wonder stuff and things like that were coming out. He worked on a lot of, and I believe he worked on the war records that were done here and things like that.
Amazing. Absolutely amazing.
Yeah. So this is, we think this is a Stevie Wonder session. You know, there was no information with it. She just sent us this photo. There's a blurry looking Stevie, so we assume that that's him.
It's cool though. It looks like a meeting.
Yeah.
Like they're talking.
Everybody gather around the pianos.
There's somebody there playing. Looks like a 175. Gibson 175.
And it gives you a feel kind of for what the room looked like in those days. It was, carpeted floors and curtains everywhere and these big, huge baffles. It was just super, super dead. Cork all over the walls.
What was it called then, the studio?
Crystal Industries.
Crystal Industries.
Yes, because the idea was that they wanted to have, they made their own consoles here and a lot very similar to what we were doing. They never actually sold any of them outside of here. They wanted it to be like, you've got to come here to use our stuff and things like that. But
all the great studios did that, didn't they? EMI did that, Trident did that, Crystal.
Yeah, and it's cool for us to be able to kind of continue that legacy and like we made consoles here too, and solve our own workflow problems that way. But this is a really cool photo of Andrew in Studio A.
Oh wow!
Standing behind the console, just real candid shot that we were blessed enough that she sent us that and we were able to have.
Yeah, I love that.
And she's like, these are just for you, don't publish these. But so we framed them and put them on the wall so people can enjoy them.
It's one of my favorite sounding records.
This is
such a great sounding record. Was there any of that tracked here?
That was all tracked here.
All tracked.
The drums were done in this super dead cork front ISO booth.
Oh wow.
Here, let me pop the lights on before we get in here. This is the infamous like overdub cymbals. It's
right.
Dave Grohl tracking in here was the super dead room.
Yeah.
And using practice pads and stuff so that he could play the cymbals separately.
Wow.
And still have it feel like he was playing a kid.
Well, that's interesting because Hugh Padgham did that like on the XTC records, but they did it in a townhouse in a very live room.
Okay.
And the reason for it was they wanted the kick and the snare to be huge in the room mics, so the cymbals didn't bleed into it. So what was Eric's thought process? He just wanted it to
I
be...
believe it was the band's idea.
It was the
It
band's
was something
idea.
that they insisted on, but the end result is you listen to that record and the drums sound larger than life. It sounds
Oh, yeah.
like samples. You can crush the crap out of everything,
Yeah.
and it's still
Yeah.
going to breathe.
Yeah. Oh no, it's a fantastic sounding record. It's one of my favourite, modern records. I suppose now it's 15 plus years old.
Yeah.
But in 20 years maybe even, but yeah. When it came out, it sounded so good. So good. So this was the drums in this room?
The drums were in this room.
Yep.
This was part of the original control room.
Yep.
So when Eric moved in, the control room was, all covered in this cork. The live room as well.
And does this date back to the 70s as well?
Yeah, this is back to the original build out in '67.
Oh wow, 67.
67. And from the photos I've seen, the left main monitor speaker was right above this door. So the control room was actually kind of staggered over quite a bit. And basically when Eric came in, we laid in this smaller control room inside this giant control room.
Oh, I see.
Then there's basically the machine room, and the space behind the racks just sort of wraps around the back.
Beautiful. And this is the control room.
This is the main control room. And basically B was the mix room back in the Crystal days. It sounds incredible and has this super tight, small, tight mixing room. And the idea is we've been chasing that since Eric bought the building. It was basically make A sound as much like B as possible. And so that's how we landed on this super tight.
I'm not sure if anybody can tell just from these little lapel mics, but the difference from walking from room to room is massive. This is a hugely different sounding room. I've got to sit in the master's chair here for a second. So I'm guessing this is his own custom console. So
Yeah,
this is all UTA.
This is the first UTA console that we made.
Oh, it's gorgeous.
And the original idea was just to make something for Eric to use in here. And people responded. He loved it so much. It turned out so well. It's like, well, let's build another one for B. Then more people wanted to buy them, and it eventually turned into us making rack gear and making Unfairchilds and all the other fun stuff that we make.
Did he have the Strausses in here and he took them home?
He did have the Strausses in here for a while. Since I've been around the building since around 2011.
Yep.
Since I've known him, he's gone back and forth between NS10s and Adams and a bunch of stuff, and finally landed on the Strausses.
Yeah, we had a lot of interest over those speakers.
Yeah.
So is he building consoles now?
We are
Just a make to order kind of thing?
They were all of them were custom. We
Right.
made and sold 8 so far.
Oh wow.
And they're all custom built to order. It's a pretty modular design. You can strap a couple more buckets on and do. But every console we built was completely different.
I love how sort of like functional it is. This is wonderful. So gear wise, I see he has these huge Uris back here. That's the blow the A&R guy away speakers.
Exactly. Yeah, those are the big client wows, and crank them up and get
Yep.
the low end moving and get some air going
Marvellous.
past you.
Let's go through some of the gear down here. Oh, so quite a few Fairchilds, I see.
Quite a few, yeah. And I mean, I've done sessions in here where during the original, the first run of Unfairchilds, we made 10 pilot units.
Yeah.
And I did a session down here where I used all 10 just to try them out. And there's actually the photo of Eric on our website is him sitting in front of just this wall of Unfairchilds. But been a lot of sessions where we could just use another Fairchild and just run upstairs and grab a demo unit.
Wow, that's amazing.
And we've also been fortunate in the sense of like a lot of commercial studios, their gear lists are built out based on what's going to bring in bookings and what looks cool
Sure.
and everything here was hand selected based on over years of someone working with it.
Right.
What do we
those
need to get through this record?
Are these CL1204s? They are. Or AM617s. These are amazing.
They're beautiful. We just had them gone through and rebuilt. That's been a big part of the process of opening up as a commercial space, is going through and picking through everything and making sure that there's no.
Which who these the ones I had were Cowrex, but I know that lots of different companies made them because these were made to BBC specs.
Mm-hmm.
These are phenomenal. They use them in broadcast for ducking, which is why it's got the voiceover gain here.
Oh, okay.
They're insane on vocals. If you want anything just to go, boom, just sit there, the kind of way that these things limit is unbelievable. I remember there was a time when you could get them for a few $100s, and then people started discovering them. And of course, like everything, they go massively up in price.
It's definitely a piece that a lot of people that come in don't necessarily know about, and as soon as we put something through it, they love it, and they request it every time.
Yeah, it's because it has a way of limiting that doesn't look like an L1. It doesn't come out with like these big square waves. It just seems to pull everything up, and it's absolutely insane. So you've got the 560s, 525s. What's this with the color? DIY RE.
It's a saturation.
Oh wow.
Little, it just another way to add a little bit of color to stuff.
Some Summit stuff. I didn't know he used Summit. That's great.
Yeah, it's really interesting because you can kind of trace Eric's career through the pieces of gear. Like what most of the Summit stuff is from the T-Ride days, and it actually has T-Ride crudely scratched into the top of the rack case. Right. But yeah, so he bought that stuff new in the 90s and has had it ever since, and it gets used a lot. This
was Brian Karlstrom and Dave Jordan stuff. They used to use Summit on everything, and a lot of those 90s records was Summit stuff. It's nice to see it. I always thought they made fantastic gear. Crane Song. Beautiful stuff. Compressor limiter, the STC. You find yourself using that?
A little bit, yeah. I mean, I definitely lean heavier on the DBXs and the Unfairchilds and stuff like that we have. Our 1176s are beautiful. And the LA2As that we have are Larry Jasper, the designer from Undertone, has modified them. They're just super open and just great sounding and stereo linked, and just they're the best sounding LA2As I've ever heard.
Fantastic. Pair of Distressors. Of course, two sets of 4 mic pre's there.
Those are UTA MPDI 4s. We have just a crap ton of them.
I've got to borrow some. I really need to try them out. I haven't used them yet.
We primarily have our workflow here is mic pre's out in the room.
Yeah. Nice.
And we'll leave one. We have one permanently installed in the rack, and then depending on what we're doing, we'll float a couple in here.
I wonder why that's not more popular. Obviously, it's not easy. It's not tactile. You can't just run in there and quickly do it. But when I worked at Conway a few years ago, they had those 1081s that were remotely controlled, and I still think that's the best drum sounds I ever got. Was short cable runs to mic pre's.
It requires a slightly different workflow, and it helps to have an assistant.
Yes.
Especially an assistant that's used to that workflow and is anticipating that you might want them to grab and the console itself makes it easier. Just the way that the trim is set up and things like that on the console makes.
You made a point earlier which I liked, where you were talking about how it's like there's a lot of personal taste. Because we go to studios and we've been to obviously hundreds of studios, and you always expect to see LA2As, 160s, 1176, LA3s. All the usual Neve and API stuff. When you get like this isn't left of center, but it's definitely once you've discovered these compressors. But here's some interesting stuff. Like here's a BSS, which I wouldn't see that often in a studio. I know a few live guys that like these still. But I understand this kind of mentality. You find a piece of gear, you're like, oh, that sounds really good on this, this, and this. And you can pick it up used probably these days pretty inexpensively. But the reality is like, I like the eclectic stuff. Because when I go to a studio and somebody has something that's not necessarily unusual, but knows how to use it in the right circumstance, it's really far more creative, than just the usual suspects. Yeah. Not that I have a problem with the usual suspects, don't get me wrong.
Yeah, I mean, we definitely have the usual suspects, but it's nice that everything here was purchased to solve a problem during a record.
I think because I'm a big fan of Eric's, not just production, but engineering, the way he records, I expect lots of people are going to be coming here with the same questions. So they'll probably come in and go, okay, how did you get the sound for, Songs for the Deaf?
Sorry, the chair right between us.
And I imagine you'll be sticking drums in that room doing that exact same
Certainly.
process.
I mean, I was a runner at Capitol, and the question was always, what does Al do? What does
Right.
Al Schmidt do? And here it's been, what did Eric do on this
course.
record?
Right. Very understandable. A couple of blue stripe 1176s down there. More UTA mic pre's. So we have, was that 160? Oh, it's 162. I have one of those. Stereo 160. That was another one of those things for the longest time. Nobody could figure it out. I bought mine for $350.
They're great.
I know, but now, of course, it's...
I know. I'm pretty sure Eric got his. He's had it for a long time. I'm pretty sure he bought it cheaply too.
Yeah, there was just a period when nobody cared.
I mean, it was the same thing with the Orbands. It's a
Yep.
broadcast piece that wasn't necessarily super desirable, but once
Nope.
people realized how great they were in the right situation.
There's some really nice stuff here. Let's get these chairs out of the way for Eric. Wow. I love these two 165s. Obviously 160s with a variable attack and release. I do tend to get lazy and just push the button in and use it like a 160. What else have you got? What is this? Oh, that's a C2. That's an early C2. Wow. I've never seen... That must have been right at the get-go, yeah, when they first started making them.
I believe so. Yeah.
Wow, that's great. Again, see, some Aphex stuff. I've always found those great.
Yeah.
Tube driver, Chandler tube driver's beautiful. What else you got down here? EMI limiters. Wow, an original. It's a 176, is that correct?
I believe so. Yeah.
Original 176. What's this down the very bottom? Is that a Massenburg or something? What is
it's a GML.
It is GML. Wow, look at that space station.
We got an email from Eventide recently that they saw the listing on our website and said, "Hey, can you send us a photo of them? Are you still using those? And we'd love to send you the plugins to check out." And it was really cool that they were so. I sent them a photo of them in the racks, and I'm like, "Yeah, they still get used every day." And it was cool that they were so excited about that.
We could probably do a whole piece on Eventide, and in a way we should. I should probably contact them after this, because the guys I looked up to in the American guys, like Jack Douglas and Shelley Ackers and Roy Sakala and all those guys, they all love Eventide stuff because they were there like in the 70s. These guys would build something new and then bring it to the studio and say, try it out. Jack told me that the flanger on a snare they would set the flange, it was really, it had a very low kind of movement, and then they would put that under the snare so it would trigger on the snare each time with a gate, and you just go, and that was part of the snare sound. Because in those days they were looking for anything to bring the
set it apart. And
set it apart,
yeah.
Absolutely amazing. I've never used an instant phaser. In fact, this may be only the first or second time I've ever seen one. I'm trying to remember if I've seen one before. I think I've only ever seen photos, so no wonder they were excited.
Yeah. It's great to have it here.
That's amazing. And then vocoder, chorus echo. Do you have a full-time tech here? Or you don't really need it because you have people building gear.
We kind of split the duties. I cut my teeth here helping build the consoles. Our other staff engineer, Bradley Cook, still works with UTA a lot.
Yeah.
And splits his time between that and his own projects.
Yeah.
So we're all pretty competent techs.
Great.
It makes things easier.
It does. Some original specs of Petrosonics. These are gorgeous. It's great to see this company come back as well. These I love, the ADRs, the complex, but the vocal stressor, and there's a complex down the bottom. Everybody I know who's ever owned one of these, we always have that same discussion about the learning curve. When you hear about how amazing they are, and you spend an hour trying to get it to sound good, and then when you get it to sound good, you're like, don't touch it! But it's worth it.
Yeah, they're lifesavers when it's in the right situation.
Yep, absolutely amazing. What else you got down here? A couple of LA2As. What's that down the bottom?
A
What's the
Lala.
What is that?
It's just it's a tube limiter. It's trying to think how to describe the characteristics. I haven't personally used it that much. We've just got so many options.
You have a lot of options.
But it's a great piece of gear.
DBX 500. Oh wow, you got one. See, I have the later ones, the 120.
Mm-hmm.
But when I was working with Sadi, when we were mixing, I think the Thrills, Les Bottle Bohemia, this is what was on the kick. Just
Okay.
a little, ooh, a little
Yeah.
extra. Yeah. These come up very rarely. The disco box, as he used to call it. And then
Some more Summit pieces.
more Summit. Another stereo, 160 and 162.
Mm-hmm.
Well, a couple of stay levels. And an Orban EQ at the bottom.
Mm-hmm.
Fantastic. And of course the cassette player. Don't forget the cassette player.
Just in case.
We need the cassette player. What we got left? What is this?
It's a Langevin EQ. It's I mean, if you look at, it's just a really vibey, passive EQ, and I actually don't leave the rack screws in it because I end up pulling it out so much for people, throwing it up on the island so that they can have their hands on the knobs.
Yeah.
But we've used it for vocal effects and doing sort of telephony filtered stuff. It's really great on reverbs and anything that you're just trying to add vibe or junk to.
Right.
And but it's just it's very broad and very, very cool sounding EQ. We have two of them.
Fantastic. And then there's an overstay. You have two of these. Well, yeah, maybe I'll take the other one off your hands.
Yeah. Yeah, the other one's in B.
Oh, okay. All right, so let's get...
Okay, so we have two microphone robots, just remote controlled mic stands that we can position. Primarily ends up getting used on kick drums or guitar cabs. But so we have two versions of it. This original version is just these analog switches on the console itself, and then we made a little bit more. It's a little quieter. It can move a little bit when the stand's actually moving itself. You could save recall positions and stuff like that. But this is the remote for that unit, and it's a cool thing. It's a thing that we looked at. Making as a product for UTA, and we floated around. There's definitely some mic robots that are on the market now that you can get. They're great, but what's cool about ours is you can actually listen to. It's quiet enough that you can sweep things and find the sweet spot and listen to it. You don't have to move, wait for the motor noise to die down, listen, move, and so it ends up being a big part of our, especially like when Eric was doing the Slash records and things like that, where there's just a ton of guitar cabs and a ton of being able to dial in the sweet spot on all the different cabs is really helpful.
That's a great idea. It's a really, really cool idea. One, love it. Oh, so you got a separate drum room that you...
So this isn't a full wall. It's more of I call it a semi-permanent baffle. Oh, yeah. It was literally, we're in the middle of a session and Eric's like, I want this side deader. Let's throw up a wall. Took a day off, threw a wall up. Next day there's a wall. But so we still have some really useful leakage between the two spaces. We can close it off a little bit more by closing that door. But the wall doesn't actually extend all the way over. There's a gap right here that lets some stuff go through. And it really is just to change the character of this side of the room. We didn't want to choke it off. We didn't want to totally separate and make an ISO booth.
Right.
We just wanted to make this side deader.
That's great.
And, drums end up being tracked over here quite a bit.
You got the umbrella.
Got the drumbrella here.
Drumbella, sorry, drumbrella.
And our echo chamber is actually on the other side of this wall. There's a door behind this big baffle when we're doing a lot of like live tracking and stuff like that, where there's drums going on and there might be something else going in the chamber. Right. We'll baffle it off and stuff like that just to
That's amazing.
Control the leakage. But
and here's the mic pre's we were talking about. So the remote, which is great. Fantastic.
Camera right there, so you can see the
Oh, yeah.
you can see the assistant and
Move it here. No, left a bit, right a bit. What have you been tracking in here that has these little concert toms?
this is this band Holy Child. It's it's sort of indie pop project and lots of overdubs that just kind of they've just been running wild. Just digging into all the crazy instruments that we have.
That's crazy.
This is part of this complete sonar kit that we have that just has all these wacky sizes and like, it's actually Eric's
with a
digging
Vista-like
kit
kick.
from his metal days.
With a Vista-like kick.
Yeah,
Fantastic.
that kick with the front head off it's probably that and our sugar kick. They're like the two primary most used.
You know what? I'm not surprised. My blue Vista-like got used on more records than my 64 Ludwig. It's but nobody would ever tell you that they can hear that it's plastic or something. You know,
It's a great
great
sounding
kit.
rock kick.
Yeah, it really is.
And, we built this stage. Actually, Bradley Cook built this stage, and we were originally going to reinforce it a little bit, and it's a little, it's a little resonant, and we didn't want to fuck with it. It just gets this great floating kick sound.
Well, and you've got a solid floor. So you've got two different things. If you want it to be on a solid floor, you just move it 6 feet over to the right, and you're
Exactly. Pull these curtains in if we want to choke it off a little bit more. It's just a very, very flexible room.
Fantastic. I don't know what that is, but I absolutely love it. What is this? Is it like a Framus or something? Do you know what it is?
I don't. It's just this weird. I think it's just some weird custom.
It's made in Japan, steel reinforced nick. There you go.
It's just some Japanese knockoff thing. It's kind of a one-trick pony, but it does it's definitely a useful bass.
I just love the way it looks. It's completely top heavy. It's like gorgeous. And there's a Diamond there. Mm-hmm. Oh, I love these Diamonds. I used to have a Guild Starfire too that had exactly the same Diamond pickups in it, and I've been trying to find one since. If anybody has one.
That 12-string through a Leslie is just like, it's ridiculous. It's the most fun thing in the world.
It's fantastic. Great. I mean, it's great to go to a studio with a huge selection of guitars and stuff. I don't see many Martin classicals, so that's nice.
It's a beautiful sounding guitar.
Secret Weapon, anything Yamaha acoustic. Anybody who knows acoustics knows that they just record so well.
Yeah, that 12-string is that one goes back and forth between here and Topanga a lot, and it's like,
well, I think
let's bring the 12-string back.
I think that's what people are buying into when they rent out the studio is Eric's taste.
Exactly, yeah.
And Eric has amazing taste. Wow, nice selection.
We recently had a luthier go through everything. There's a really great guy, Henry Barnes, at the Folk Music Center in Claremont, which is Ben Harper's family store.
Okay, if you've ever watched any of my videos, you'll know I'm obsessed with Queen. So whose version of the Red Special is that?
I don't know, but it does sound great. And yeah, if you want to talk about oddly weighted guitars, it's just everything's right here.
I don't know whose version of Red Special is this. It's a Dillion.
It's definitely not. It's definitely not the most accurate Red Special I've seen, but it sounds great. It plays great. It's super useful.
Yeah, it looks like a Red Special.
Yeah.
But you're right. It doesn't feel like one, but it's gorgeous looking because, of course, it's a great looking guitar. But yeah, this also with my one doesn't have the same.
It's a great guitar for I've found myself pulling it out when someone's stuck on a solo or something. It's just it has so much of its own character that it pulls people out of their own heads for a moment.
Yeah, well, the fact that you can phase reverse everything and select every pickup individually and do all kinds of silliness. Really, very smart. Great. Yeah, I've never even seen one of those. I'm sure we're gonna get hundreds of comments below, and that's fine, telling me, Warren, you're an idiot for not knowing. Which is quite all right.
I'm sure we'll both learn a lot of stuff about our guitars.
Yeah.
Here.
Oh, I used to have one of these. Oh, it's a Ripper, yes?
Yeah.
I used to have a Ripper. It's this great idea of moving the pickup. But the hilarious thing is it's only 2 inches. So it does change the tone, but it wasn't like, it wasn't like, you know what I mean? I had one of those, they're fun. I think I ended up putting mine in a similar position and then never moving it.
Yeah, I think Eric found the sweet spot years ago and it just stayed there.
Yeah, it just stays there. Yeah.
But it's definitely a very useful bass.
They are fantastic. Gibson basses of the late 70s, early 80s, mid 70s to early 80s are all really good. I used to have an RD Artist, which was black and it had all this kind of active electronics on it. It was phenomenal. Weighed an absolute ton. I did gigs with it, and I just, at the end of the night, you'd be like, but great sounding basses. Silvertones. Do you have the case with that and the amp and everything?
Yeah.
I would imagine you would. That's why I mentioned it. Great. I see a Gretsch down all the way down there. Oh, look at that K bass. Wow.
I think plays great.
It looks fantastic. It looks worn to all heck. Oh, some of Fender's interesting moments with P90s in it. That's pretty cool. Fantastic. What is that? Oh, jazz guitar around the side. Is that like a harmony or something?
It's a New Yorker.
Oh, it is?
Yeah. Complete with, I guess it's pliers or nail scissors or something
to tune it?
as a tuning
it weighs
peg.
Nothing. Gorgeous. So much fun. What I love about archtops is that sort of mid-range punch. So if you want to do like, even just do, totally out tune, but those kind of, you know, just arpeggios and stuff, you can double them up with an electric and it just makes it cut.
It definitely sits right in there in a very special way.
Yeah. That was a thing that Dave Jordan would do a lot of, is just combine lots of different types of guitar sounds and blend them really subtly to produce one amazing guitar sound.
But that's really what we can offer in a commercial space here is weird stuff.
Yeah.
Just weird things that you haven't seen, things that you wouldn't think about. It doesn't matter if it's an expensive piece or just different colors.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's it. You know, we're seeing inside the mind of Eric. Now, we haven't even scraped the surface because look at this mic collection. First of all, you got CMVs down there. Let's see, and they're probably up on the kit or something. Those are the Gaffels, yes?
Yeah.
Huge fan of those. So you got 2 of them.
We got 2 of those. This is the Bobo section, as we call it. It's just the random.
Well, it looks like you've got an AKG Beacons mic flying in there. Yeah. No, that's an EV. That's why.
Lots of weird stuff, you know. A couple different telephone mics.
Great.
Lots of statics, and I don't even know. I think this is like an operator's handset, but it just sounds, you know, you crush the crap out of it, and it's just.
So it looks like basically Eric in the late 90s and early 2000s, when he was making all these huge records, was just taking every dollar he made and buying gear.
Pretty much, and we're lucky that we get to benefit. You left the stuff behind, and we get to use it.
That's amazing.
Awesome.
What is this?
It's a Sandhill ribbon mic. We have 2 of them, and it's just, you know, it's a fan-powered ribbon that's just, it's got a lot of headroom. It sounds really great on a kick drum, just, you know, spaced back a little.
Wow, that's amazing.
Let's see. Some BK5s with some custom mounts that Ian McGregor made for us. They're just.
That's a really smart idea.
Yeah, it gets it, the snub nosed.
Yeah.
You know, and they were super worn out and they were always slipping and stuff. Yeah. And it's just like, now you can. I mean, we end up using this on like the primary use is on. We have this Silvertone guitar amp that's it's a great clean sound. It just sounds like a little compressed, no matter how much you crank it. And then this guy like right on the cone, but it was a pain trying to get it on the cone with that mount.
That's amazing. Now the amp selection here, I don't know where to start. I mean, we need to probably list all of the mic selection somehow or another. You've got Bach Fets, you've got Earthworks, you've got some Sonys here, some 451s. Oh, there's a D24, looks like it's on something. D20, gorgeous.
Yeah, a few D20s, some D12s, D19s.
I have one D19, but oh yeah, gorgeous.
We have 3 of them? Yeah, and no, 4. And we did a session recently where we used all of them on the drum kit, and it sounded amazing. It's my go-to under snare mic.
Okay, look at this. Okay, anyone know what this is? So this is the CM. This is the CM. So this is the Gefell, but this is probably what, 40s or early 50s?
I believe so.
By the way, it weighs a lot, and I'm holding it in my left hand, which is not my strong hand. Wow, that is crazy. I've actually not seen one of these in the flesh. I think there's one I saw at Abbey Road, I think. But otherwise, no, this is amazing.
Yeah, it's a cool mic. Pain in the butt to put on a stand. But.
I can imagine, considering how much it weighs. There are probably not many stands that can actually hold it. D200s, these are actually fun mics. I have one of these on a console that was a talkback, and I decided to put it on snare a few years ago, and I'm like, had a little sort of mid-range crunch that was amazing. Oh, I use 64.
That's actually the surface of the console. This is actually the genesis of that. It's a cindered metal. It's the same windscreen material, basically.
Oh wow!
And so the idea of that is that it's acoustically transparent enough to put on the front of a mic.
Wow.
It'll let the kill all the reflections from the surface of the console.
That's amazing. So much stuff here. 47 FET 1 and 2. Joseph. Okay. So this is what we discovered we discovered these in when we were in Nashville in the summer. That these on toms are insane. I didn't know anything about them, and we were there at Blackbird where they have every mic ever in the history of microphones, and 10 of every mic, and we were doing a masterclass, so we were asking everybody what their choices were, and there was like, we don't want to use 421s, everybody uses 421s, let's try something different, and 414s were floated around. And then I asked Lowell, who's the assistant there, and been on every major record out there, and he goes, you have to try these. Have you tried these on toms?
I haven't personally, but
they're insane.
Great. I've used them on acoustic guitar and a bunch of different stuff. They're cool mics.
I was unbelievably impressed with this. Really, really good. So I to be honest, I hadn't even heard of them before that day. Wow. Now we're talking. So I have one of these. So these, the 582s, there was a period of time when we're talking about, I bet you Eric bought them in that period. There was a period in the 90s where these were worth like nothing. And then everybody realized, whoa, wait there. I can get a KM series microphone for a fraction of the cost. And then everybody discovered that the 582s were just insane. Oh, wow. And he has 3 of them?
Yeah.
These are beautiful.
Those
Talking
are
about
definitely
acoustic
like go-to
guitars.
room. Yeah.
Are you using them on the rooms?
We used them on rooms for brass on the Gwen Stefani Christmas record.
Oh, wow.
And it sounded great.
I have an interesting story about the Brent Safari Christmas records because Sean was playing bass on that.
Okay.
And I was working with Diane Warren and David Foster, and he was playing bass on it. Were you working on the session? Remember when he left for an hour? He came and played bass on it.
I wasn't around for those sessions,
Oh, okay.
but they re-released it and did the deluxe edition this year with 5 new songs, and I was around for those.
It was just funny because he was like tracking it, and he was like, I don't think I can get out. And then he turned to Eric and goes, hey, I got a chance to work with David Foster and Diane Warren. And Eric goes, sure, go. I just thought that was really cool of Eric, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
To understand what a great opportunity that was. Wow.
So these Bach Fets that we have, those are actually prototypes that he made for Eric to try out.
Unbelievably light. Surprised how light it is. It's probably whatever this alloy is.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah. But basically, Eric didn't want to let the prototypes go. He was like, I'll buy these.
That makes sense. That makes sense. Oh, wow. So is this the NS10 sub kick strapped to an NS10? Or what is it?
That's exactly what it is. It's strapped to an NS10, and we use both of them. So this is just plugged into the back of the NS10 going with the tweeter and the crossover and everything, and it's just a little bit slightly different color, a little bit more full range, but we'll blend the two of them.
That is crazy. I love it.
Definitely, those are go-to drum rooms and just...
Yes. Yeah, I think you guys are going to be really busy.
Yeah, we have been so far.
Really busy. Do you use these for... I use these on ribbons when I want to control the back half of a ribbon. So I put it behind it. If I'm using a room mic and I only want the ambience behind or only want the ribbon to face front, I find that quite useful on older ribbons that are in figure of 8, obviously.
Yeah, we use them for a lot of that. We also put them on drums, put them on stands to choke off different parts of the set and stuff like that.
Smart. That's great. And these are SE ones. Perfect. Yeah, I should get some of those for that exact same reason. Good thinking. Because I actually only know the big one. That's what I used on the room, so I didn't know there was these little mini ones.
They're definitely useful.
It's a good idea.
There was definitely some experimentation with like this, with pieces of fiberglass insulation wrapped and taped to mic stands and stuff like that. And this is a little bit more functional solution. I think
everybody's always sort of struggled with the 57 coming over the snare and then the hat. And I remember watching the making of, I think it was actually a making of an Aerosmith record with Bruce Fairbairn, or Bon Jovi. It was Bruce Fairbairn, and he had built like this little like cardboard thing, and then had a piece of foam around it. I've seen all kinds of things that people have tried over the years for isolation. So it's a fun process.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay, let's go and look at the amps.
A few of these magnetones, which are beautiful. It's super vibey. And the true stereo tremolo where you can just crank it and get it. It gets into warped record.
Is that, I think it was years and years ago, I was tracking as a musician with Sylvia Massey. She had one of these, and all it was to get the tremolo effect is they're just reversed phase.
Okay.
So it just goes left, right, left, right. So when you put it up there, it literally just sounds like hard left and hard right. I think that's what it was, because we put it into mono and it just basically disappeared. When there was a period where we were in both speakers at the same time. That's crazy.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, again, what an amazing collection of amps. It's insane.
Some more unusual stuff. This is that Silvertone that I was talking about. It's the coolest, like, clean rhythm guitar sound.
I just want to, like, polish that and put it in my living room.
This Bronson is insane.
Yeah.
I pretty much just use it like this, just all the way to the right. We tracked some guitars for Doyle Bramhall's new record, and this was like a Univibe into this was like the lead sound.
Wow.
Couple Voxes.
So crazy. Oh, is this Selma? Looks like a Selma case. Is it Selma?
That's a Marshall.
Oh, it is a Marshall. So is it JTM 45? Used to be.
There was a period here where we were buying all these combo amps, ripping the heads out, making them into cabs, and that's why there's that plywood on the back, and you can see over there that like our high watt is ripped out like that, or one of our Voxes.
So here's the. So it's a JMP. Oh, I see. Yeah, so it's a JMP, so it must be one of the early master volume combos. I love the Skylark. This is such a great sounding amp. I used one of these on a record, and it was getting better every day, and I thought I was imagining it, and then it actually died. There's a sort of feeling as the amp starts, they just start to crunch more and more, and then just one day it didn't turn on. This is my youth, a PV Decade. This was the amp that every kid I knew started on.
We'll put drums through that. It's just a great junk amp. It's also really great we've done some things where we're overdubbing feedback and things like that. And it's perfect for that.
Jaco Pastorius bass head, acoustic 360, absolutely amazing. Turntable, look at that.
That Caliphone head pairs with these guys, with these two speakers, and it was like take it to the park for your picnic. Like that's not modified in any way. It had a guitar input, and we'll
case you
put
wanted
it through
to
that
play
and
along.
just crank it.
Oh, this is so amazing. Saldana, there's an Ashdown bass head. Not sure what this Marshall is down here. And we don't want to forget that Eric is actually a drummer.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of drums. A lot of drums, which is also...
This
a little
sugar kid-
tiny kick drum here. That is a joke, obviously. Is this 26 or 28?
I believe it's a 26.
It is huge. That would make an amazing resonator.
There's also, this is from Eric's signature sugar kit. This ISO booth was, we added this during one of the Slash records. It was called the Slash box, and there's still a sign.
It looks more original because it has a sort of a feel of being built.
We went in and painted it afterwards, but it was actually originally called the, let me flip a light on in here. This sign hung out on the front for quite a while, the Slash box. But this was the idea during the second Slash record that Eric did was to have the band all play live together and make it feel as much like he's used to feeling on stage. So we just put floor monitors in this booth.
Nice.
Built this booth to accommodate his floor monitors, put a pass-through, and had the Marshall stacks in the kitchen, and just let him take off his headphones. Just let it feel like, and he could crank the monitors as loud as he wanted.
And you've got a bunch of what looks like Neves sitting down there.
Those are those remote Neve preamps that you were talking about earlier.
The ones that they have in Conway, yeah.
Yeah.
That's amazing. I
Those
presume you do
came
bass
with
tracking?
Eric's 88R.
Oh, wow.
That's the piece we kept.
That makes sense. And of course, the obligatory reminder that we're all just teenagers.
There's a lot of Star Trek fans in this building.
Yeah, but gorgeous. Leslie. Lovely.
Now, this is a pretty recent acquisition, this Leslie and this B3, and they're both just gorgeous.
Beautiful. C7? Oh no, that's C9. Is that C7 or C9?
I believe it's a C9.
It looks longer than my C7.
Yeah, it's a C9.
Yeah, it's a C9.
This piano is one of the pieces that are original to the building. This is the piano that all the Stevie Wonder records that were done here were cut on.
Wow. I can't play any Stevie Wonder, and I'm a guitar player, not a piano player. But I'm still going to play a chord. Oh, gorgeous. That's beautiful. Absolutely gorgeous. And then there's a fun-looking Iverson Pond from Boston. That's actually really, really nice. This would be fun for probably.
Yeah, the hammers are just super hard on it.
Yeah,
and
it's great.
It's tons of vibe.
Probably really good for doubling like guitar parts.
Exactly.
You want to get so. Yeah, fantastic. Ton of pedals. Ton of pedals. Some soaks or whatever you want to power soaks up there. I see. A hot plate. That's great.
A couple talk boxes, all the weird stuff.
Tons and tons of pedals. We'll have to
Tons
have
of toy keyboards. What else is cool over here? We got a couple of these are custom-made reamp boxes. We use pretty heavily. Use this with the couple different transformer options. There's some Neves, there's some Cinemags, and it's all labeled based on what transformer it is. But we end up using a lot of these to get guitars around the building.
Oh, and just for clarity, it's called Barefoot, I imagine, because Eric's usually in bare feet.
Exactly. Yeah.
It's got nothing to do with the speakers.
Nothing to do with the speakers. It's just he doesn't like shoes.
Yeah, every time I've seen him, he's been barefoot.
He's finally got some sandals.
He's got some sandals.
He's got some sandals.
Rainbows?
I don't even know.
Probably.
But he kicks them off as soon as he comes in, and I got to remind him to take them with him when he leaves. Some beautiful vibes, orchestra bells.
Very nice, yeah. I saw the vibes are beautiful. This is a good idea. So do you play back stuff here and record the room again?
Yeah, we did. There was a producer in this, or Joe Napolitano is in B.
Yeah.
Did a re-record of Rubber Band Man
Right.
for a commercial.
Nice.
And there were some fake strings and stuff like that we were talking about re-recording. We recorded all the brass in here, left the same room mics up, piped the strings through the speaker, and
Great idea.
re-recorded it, and it worked, and it sounded great.
That's a really good idea. Jaguar. Or Jaguar, as you would say in America.
We've got that, and then the 2 manual Super Continental as well.
It's crazy though, for anybody watching, if you have not played one of these, it's the exact opposite of touch sensitivity. It's just everything is beep, beep. It's like that.
On.
It's this on, off, and you forget. But then once you realize that, it becomes its own tool because you start figuring out, and you become more percussive. Because instead of using super dynamic, you start playing shorter notes and writing different kind of ideas, or just, and I think it makes you come up with more interesting melodies. That kind of Stranglers idea.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love all that stuff.
It's definitely an inspiring instrument. I've seen a lot of people come in and just they see the orange top and they get excited, and the black keys, and they come up with parts on that they wouldn't have on a Hammond or anything else.
I mean, that's really what this is all about, isn't it? We have equipment that we've only read about or heard about, and we're like, oh, okay, what's this pedal? We could spend an hour going through those guitar pedals. It's like each one of those pedals is going to inspire something else. You've heard about, oh, Jimmy Page used this, or so-and-so used that. What does it do? And you plug it in.
Yeah, exactly.
Off you go.
Or like the vibes and the orchestra bells. So a lot of projects come in that end up having those on it. They didn't have a vibe spark before they saw, before they walked in the room.
Yeah, who thinks, I need some orchestral bells on my death metal track?
But they walk in and they see it and they play with it and they come up with an idea that they wouldn't have.
Instant Christmas music. Wow. Oh, you can undampen it? Gorgeous. Quick, sample it. That's amazing.
That's made it onto a lot of projects that, sometimes it's just one note, but it's a cool layer.
Yeah, pedal. Some Coles, gorgeous. It's nice to see a certain amount of mics just out that are probably getting used all the time.
Yeah, I mean this project that's happening now is a lot of overdubs and different instrumentation, and we've just got stuff set up so that we can keep moving.
Right. Is it Gaffel?
Schoeps.
Oh, it's Sheps. It looks like a
Sheps.
Gaffel with the black like that, painted like that.
It's a beautiful piano mic.
Oh yeah.
With the Toby Foster sticker on there.
Yeah.
Did you know that he serviced it?
Wow.
And the Sheps are a beautiful sounding piano mic. I wasn't familiar with them when I came in here, and I was asking Eric about. We had a piano session coming up. I was asking about what should I use on piano, and he said that to throw those up, and it was the only time he's ever recorded piano and not had to mess with it. It's just it just sounds like a record.
Wow. Absolutely amazing.
All the glorious tape machines.
Every producer and engineer always secretly wants to know what Eric Valentine does.
We'll give away some of the secrets.
So how often are you tracking the tape?
When it's requested, which is, we've got it, so it's more than I would have anticipated before coming in here.
Right.
As the manager. It's a fair amount. Eric definitely, and especially when people are coming in and they want to do things the way that he did it.
Yeah.
It's definitely a common request.
So you say, so was this? Did you make the control room smaller like this?
Yeah, so this is the back wall of the original control room, and that you can still see some of that cork that's left up here. That's from the original. Every wall was just lined with that.
Oh wow.
And just super dead, and it's the '60s, and you're trying to compete with all the other studios in town. Just make a giant control room and pack everybody in.
Right. Then you're gonna have all the girlfriends and everything all hanging out. Wow, this Scully. I haven't seen one of these in quite a few years. Actually, sitting in a studio. This is pretty amazing. Wow. 16-track Scully, 2-inch.
Yeah, it's a beautiful machine. It's definitely a beast to maintain.
I can imagine.
But it's worth it. It's just you can just crunch stuff and just make things sound super cool.
Fantastic.
But when people are asking for tape now, it's not about they want the vibey machines. They're going to it because they want to affect the sound somehow.
Exactly. So we're going back to talking about the pianos.
Yeah.
Everybody has access, and I know I talk about this all the time. I'm sorry, but everybody has access now to perfectly recorded, amazing pianos in really famous rooms. But what they don't have is this kind of individuality.
This is Studio B, and this room.
It says "Do not disturb," and we're disturbing. That's how.
Sorry to disturb.
I'm such an a-hole. In fact, it's his fault. No, it isn't, Eric. Good to see you again over the last few minutes.
Yeah, definitely. Welcome to Studio B.
So this room looks more in line with what the original build-out was like. None of these treatments have changed. We redid the track lighting at some point.
So this is from the 70s?
But this is all from the original
Here's the
build-out.
room actually in the
Yeah.
Oh, wow. There you go.
Obviously the consoles changed. This is one of the original
An MCI?
crystal consoles.
No, that's a crystal.
Wow.
Wonder where that is.
It was parted out
out.
before the building was sold. And I believe there's a few channel strips floating around, but
You should try and get them. I'm trying to get at least one.
You
so
gotta
you
get
can...
a pair or one or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, so this is the second console that we built. Flying faders, all the toys. This is the acoustically transparent work surface. It's been a joy to be able to work on it every day. It has our super flexible EQ. It's the most flexible and intuitive console I've seen. It also has the same mic robot hookups here.
Wow.
Where
is the mic robot? Is it in the live room?
It's currently up in the shop. We're making a couple modifications to it. Eric was fooling around with. He wanted to make it so he could control it on his phone and a couple different things.
Wow. Huge wire ones. Gorgeous.
But it's been a joy to be able to work on this console. I mean, I cut my teeth helping put knobs on them, so it's been great to be able to use them every day.
Are those Uris or Tannoys?
Those are Uris. Those are Uri components in a cabinet that we had the guys at Sugar Percussion make for us. Actually, there's a little Sugar badge, just like their drum kits on the side there.
Yeah,
but they sound great.
I mean, they look like Uris but they were black, so I wasn't quite sure. But obviously dual concentric, or what do you call them in America? We call them dual concentric in England. Anyway, whatever it is. That thing.
That thing. But yeah.
Marvelous.
Studio B.
Show them a quick little.
Yeah.
Walk through here. Here's the live room.
Walk this way.
So I was tracking some drums in here yesterday, but this is a Studio B live room. This was originally the studio manager's office, and then we converted it into a live room, and it's just a tight, punchy.
Sounds so good for drums. Like I said, punchy. That 70s punchy, tight, dry in your face kind of vibe.
That's amazing.
I believe a lot of some of the drums on the All American Rejects record were done in here, and some of the Taking Back Sunday. And it's a nice, it's not the totally dead feeling of that front ISO, but it's just a tight, small, punchy room.
Great. Absolutely fantastic.
And then there's tie lines throughout this whole place we can patch.
So you could be in A and track drums in here. Nice.
Joe and I have both done a lot of overdubbing, if we need to overdub a piano real quick, we just patch in an A.
That's great. I have a pair of C12As on my toms as well. And people were like, what?
Yeah.
And there you are, pair of
That's-
C12As on toms.
That's one of Joe's tricks, is put them in figure 8 and get the rejection.
Ah, wow.
Yeah, it's been cool. I've been able to really get a very sensitive mic close up to a drum and not have like hardly any cymbal bleed in, and even though it's like 2 inches away from it, just by using like the the ride cymbals right up here, figure 8 patterns rejecting all this stuff.
Yeah.
It's pointed right here. It's been really.
All right, Eric, we're going to get our C12As and do this, okay?
Give it a
Because
shot.
we have a pair of C12As on our toms.
Yeah. And this kit's awesome. I brought this in. It's,
Beautiful.
Yeah, kind of a Frankenstein to the floor tom, the other floor toms over there, but it's like a 30s Slingerland, there's a 40s tom, there's a 60s Ludwig snare that goes with it.
And a shout out to Pro Drum just down the street.
Yeah,
That's definitely been
Yeah.
a lifesaver.
Yeah.
They're amazing.
they were funny too when I went in there and told them like, oh, I'm up the street now at Barefoot, used to be Crystal, and those guys have been there since it was Crystal, and
Yeah.
they're like, oh, you're there. Oh yeah, lots of stuff, crazy things used to go happen over there. Like, I'm not sure what the implication was, but they were like, ooh, that place.
Well, I mean, it was the grandparents that started it, wasn't it?
Yeah, I believe so. At least, yeah, the guys that are there now, I think it's their dad, but they're, they've been there since they were teenagers in the 50s or whatever.
Yeah.
They've been there since it opened, basically, as kids, and now they run the shop. Great place.
It's amazing.
It's nice to have that little piece of like old Hollywood kind of studio vibe. We're around the corner from where the Phil Spector studio used to be, which is now a dentist office, and but this whole strip was a lot of recording studios for.
Well, because
a long time.
MU's just the other side of the street.
Exactly.
Musicians
Yeah.
Union, yeah.
hmm That's right. Yeah, the union, exactly. So this was like a major kind of hub for studios and stuff in this area. So it's cool that this little nugget got preserved and just kind of sat there, and now here it is. We're here making music in it, and
Amazing.
it's open to the public. It's great.
Amazing. Thank you ever so much.
Thank you.
That was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And we're going to come back and we're going to talk to both Joe and Brad.
Yep.
Or Bradley.
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 He goes by Brad, credits under Bradley, so.
Very nice. Thanks ever so much. As ever, please leave a bunch of comments and questions below. If there's anything specific you want to know, I might throw Tim under the bus and have him answer.
Happy to do it.
Oh, you got that? He said happy to do it. Have a marvellous time recording and mixing. Thanks ever so much.
Thank you.